Good afternoon and welcome to our sixth live event under the Wildlife Ambassador Program. My name is Calvin.
My name is Giann, and we're so excited that hey, it's 6 months already that we've been here with you, providing you very informative talks, and I hope you learned something new today. What do we have in schedule for today, Calvin?
Today's topics are based on the Coatimundis. Um, we will be talking about the human and wildlife conflict we have with Coatimundis and Coatimundis in the illegal wildlife trafficking trade, and also talking about zoonosis that we can um, get from Coatimundis, which include but are not limited to mange and toxocariasis, which are roundworms.
Right. So stay tuned. Definitely, we have several big announcements. Stay tuned for these informative sessions. But for now, we do have some very interesting news that we want to share. And I think we should go right into the pre-registration. Calvin, maybe we can show you guys. We get to brag a little bit about several things here, and we're thankful about that. In a bit, Calvin will be showing you the new and improved website we have for the Wildlife Ambassador page, and there you can go to find a pre-registration form. I think it's linked in the comment as well. And hey, great news! As the comment says, there is a raffle that will be occurring if you pre-register now, right? So you just need to go to the Wildlife Ambassador page and click the pre-register link, right? You can find that if you go to outreach and resources over at the top. Um, there, the first one will be the Wildlife Ambassador program, and then there is the information that you need to know about the program, goals, objectives, and everything it is about. And of course, the pre-register button is right there, right? So that will take you right up to the initial survey and the pre-registration that you need to take before starting the program. So please do so as quick as possible. And Calvin, do you have do you want to share with us the grand raffle prize for these lucky winners that will pre-register and participate in the Wildlife Ambassador Program?
All right, so as Gian said, for filling out the pre-registration form, you will be entering into the raffle for a $25 voucher at the Ho's Place in San Ignacio. And for your participation in the program itself, um, you will be entered into a raffle for a 2 night stay for 2 persons, which includes meals and a signature tour at Ian Anderson's Caves Branch Jungle Lodge, um,
Wow.
which will be drawn at the annual conference for the Wildlife Ambassador Program.
That is right. So do make sure that you subscribe, not subscribe. We mean you
Register.
pre-register, pre-register, and make sure you are enrolled for this
Well,
wildlife ambassador. Lewin is saying if you're already part of the program, do you have to register again?
no,
I If you took the surveys that we send you already, you do not have to be fill out the survey again. But if you haven't, then we will need your info. As long as your info is here in our database, you're in and you are a part of
raffle.
the raffle, right? So if you fill out the survey already, you're already in, right? But if you haven't, do so now, right? Well, at the end of the live. But that is one of the biggest announcement that we have to share. We are so excited, and we want to thank the Ian Anderson Caves branch for their kind donation. Right, it wouldn't be possible without their help and their contribution in sponsoring this. Um, in other news,
Another milestone we have come accomplished in these few months that we have started the Wildlife Ambassador Program is our billboard, and our billboard will come up in a second. And this billboard is based on the One Health concept, which the Wildlife Ambassador Program will be um, having more presentations about in the program itself. Right. So if you are in Belmopan, keep an eye out for our billboard. It is by the Caribbean Chicken roundabout to right, entering Belmopan.
Right, so that's between Forest Drive and Hummingbird Highway, right? It would be cool if you guys take a little selfie with our billboard, tag us. Who knows? You might win a prize as well. Might do a little raffle somewhere down the line. But participate. Show us that you are looking out for these informative materials. Share with your friends. If you share a selfie with that, tag us. More people will be able to see it, and we'll look out for it at the roundabout, right? So we're thankful that that is up and that will be there. I think we have a year for it to be displayed here,
right.
On the roundabout, right? So we are super thankful for that. And let's move on. In other news, sharing all the news.
In clinic news, we have the Chickable Challenge Marathon coming up next month, the 23rd to 24th. The registration is still open for this race, and I believe we have been posting the prizes that is possible to be won if you participate in the race, right? So send in your registration to bzwildlifeclinic@gmail.com, and there is also a virtual race marathon, but unfortunately that will not be included in the prize getting.
All right, so sign up now, guys, if you are still interested in the Chickable Challenge Marathon. It's a once in a lifetime experience, and hey, you wouldn't want to miss that out, right? So Chickable Challenge is coming up in exactly 1 month from today, right? So don't miss out. Register now if you want to participate.
And then going back to the Wildlife Ambassador Program, we have printed the pocket guide that will be used for the program itself. And this is the Human and Wildlife Conflict Emergency and Response pocket guide in Belize, for Belize.
All right, so our new and improved pocket guide that is going to be a part of the toolkit, and it's very informative, right? It's meant to be for you to have it with you in the field wherever you go, and to be able to respond immediately. This is already updated in our website, so the new one is there. You just go down to the toolkit resources, and you will find an electronic copy of that as well, right? So check that out. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you think about it, and then we'll also be including it in our workshops as well.
Yes. And then going back to clinic activities, we have a cleanup campaign along with the Belize Forest Department and the Belize Defense Force that will be occurring on Friday, at 7. So if you want to be a part of that, you can email us again at bzwildlifeclinic@gmail.com to sign up and be a part of this cleanup campaign, right?
That's right. Or shoot us a message. Just let us know you want to participate. I think this is for World Forest Day, the International Day of Forest, which was the 21st, I believe. But they did it in Belmopan. Now this Kaya side is doing it this side. So let us know if you want to participate. It's good to volunteer and be able to participate in these cleanup campaigns, right? It helps a lot. All right. So again, like and share, comment, tag your friends, colleagues, so that they come and enjoy today's show, right? It will be a very interesting lineup that we have. It won't be very long, so I hope you guys take advantage of it and enjoy while we're still on the air. So like, share, comment, please, and let us know what you think on the comments. What as we go along, there are quiz questions, trivia questions, so don't miss those out.
All right. So to get into the program now, we will be having a presentation done by Dr. Isabel on mange and skin funguses that we can get from Coatimundis and other wild animals.
That's right.
Hello, and welcome to another recorded presentation on One Health and Zoonosis. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon for our live talking about coatis. And my apologies to those who have watched the past lives, because I will basically do a little repeat on a few zoonoses that we'd already talked about before, because unfortunately coatis lend themselves since they carry all of these. So I will start out by talking about mange and dermatophytes, aka ringworm. And yes, the intention is to get under your skin a little bit, same as these parasites may, and ultimately explaining why protecting wildlife as well as the environment will protect you yourself, and why you want to avoid having close contact with wildlife species, aka they do not make good pets. So first of all, One Health, a repeat, is a concept that connects humans, the environment, and animals via health, and the zoonoses are one major issue that we focus on here so much. But the idea is when we protect one, we protect everybody's health. So zoonotic diseases were, again, diseases spread between animals and people. And I am sure you have seen this. If you have seen any of our past presentations, do remember that more than 50% of the infections that humans can get are shared between humans and animals as zoonotic diseases. So when we do protect wildlife health and the environment, we ultimately protect ourselves. So without further ado, I will start to talk about some common zoonotic skin diseases here with some patient images. Of course, we do see a fair share of coatis every year, and we have commonly seen skin issues in them, including this very, very severe case of mange. As for all zoonoses, we will talk about what causes it, how common is this indeed, what does it look like in the animals, what does it look like in us, how do we get it, and know we have it, and importantly, of course, how do we prevent getting it, and some resources in the end. Some general remarks or key remarks on skin diseases is that they are very common. It's very common to see these in domestic animals as well as wildlife. They're in fact within the most common infections, and not just in animal medicine, but also in human medicine. It could be a simple irritation, and go all the way to life-threatening conditions without proper treatment. We can have asymptomatic cases where the disease is present but does not show any signs. And some of these diseases, in fact, many, can spread between humans and animals and can also affect your kids and cause some severe rashes. And last but not least, a key message, these diseases have to be diagnosed via microscopy and examination. While there are some signs that can lead us to suspect one or the other, ultimately the diagnosis has to be done with microscopy. So what are we talking about? We're talking about two different diseases, one being mange, having several names with scabies and Orsarna as well, and caused by mites, like this here being one very important one, the sarcoptic mite. And then on the other hand, we have ringworm, is a misnomer, also called tinea, or it's caused by skin fungi. And here, as for many of these groups, there are many different species that can cause this, but we will talk about the whole group, so to speak. So how common are these? Very common. In a simple word, there are over 100 different species that can be affected by sarcoptic mange, and even in humans, there are some staggering numbers estimated around the world. And as so often for these diseases, they're more prevalent in resource-poor areas. Fortunately, the sarcoptic mites do not survive long in the environment, unlike for ringworm, the skin fungus, which is also very, very common in humans worldwide, also very common in animals, and also affects many species, and survives for extended periods in the environment. So the connection to the One Health concept here is again that it is a disease shared between humans and animals as well as the environment. So what does it look like in animals? Here again, our Coati example, you can see extreme hair loss, some erosions and scabs on the face. This is already after 2 weeks of treatment, so much improved from the original images of this animal. And yes, they can be asymptomatic at times as well, so you don't necessarily have to see signs for this to be present, and it's often complicated. So for the ringworm example here, again, it's possible to not see any signs, but we often see hair loss, which may be circular. It is less itchy than the mange on average. Both of them affect young animals or immunocompromised animals more. And both of them are often complicated by other disease-causing agents by the time that they come into care. So how do we get it? We get it from contact with either infected humans or infected animals, or from the environment, less so for the mange. What does it look like in humans? So here you can see some pictures from the internet. When it comes to scabies, it takes some time for these symptoms to show very often, and often due to extreme itch, secondary infections come in very quickly, and there is an allergic reaction that takes place and causes this itch. Here, the example of ringworm in humans, that's what gives it this name. So as you have learned now, it's not a worm, it's a fungus, but it causes potentially these circular lesions that are very slow growing and on average less itchy, but all of these are no guarantees. And so what do? You go see a doctor, hence a veterinarian for your animals, and have this examined to differentiate whether this is a fungus, a mite, a bacterial infection, or a combination of all three, unfortunately. And for prevention, which is the most important part, keeping your pets healthy and on regular preventatives for mites, cleaning skin lesions and wearing gloves when working with possibly infected animals are crucial. And remember that you may not see signs even though they are infected. For humans, We think the first step is to be aware of the risk of zoonosis and to, again, also avoid any contact with any wildlife that may be symptomatic. Always wash your hands after touching animals and wearing shoes, obviously, in contaminated environment. And here is a link from the CDC for some more prevention and some more slides, courtesy of CDC. So wash your hands. Sounds like common sense. Do take your pet to the vet if it shows any signs of skin disease, and treatments depend on diagnosis. As a general, antifungal treatments have to be carried on for longer. And here are some more references. And with that, I am going to say thank you very much. Please send us your questions now, and bye-bye. Oops. Nope.
Right, so there we had it, the presentation on mange and skin fungus, right? So we will go straight into the first quiz question for today, which is a true and false question. Multiple true and false questions and a multiple choice question. So the topic for this question is zoonotic skin fungus conditions, and like I said, it is a true and false. The first question is, skin infections are not a common condition seen in animals or humans. Is this true or is this false? Number two, there is an increased risk for human infection with zoonotic rashes by having close contact with, this is touching wildlife. Is this true or false? Number three, skin infections need to be examined by a doctor, and the causing agents will be confirmed only with a microscopic test. Is this true or false? Number four, washing your hands and using gloves when touching infected patients does not help to prevent transmission of zoonotic infections. Is this true or false? Number five, the multiple choice question. Ringworm is caused by A, a fungus, B, a bacteria, C, mites, D, worms. And for this quiz question, type in the number of the question and either if it's true or false, and the number five, the multiple choice questions, and the correct letter for the answer to the question. Right. So we will leave this up
Couple
few
seconds more.
and then we will continue with human-wildlife conflict, Coatis.
All right, so take a screenshot. We'll leave the question open until someone gets it right. So remember, you have to put number one, true or false, number two, true or false, right? Just the number and the letter, right? So the first one to do so wins a little prize. All right. So have you got the answer yet, guys? We'll wait and see. I think this is a bit behind, but I know you guys will. As soon as you get the answers, you will send your comments, and you will win your little prize. All right. So send your comments, send your answers there. First one to have it correctly will win a small prize. All right, so while you do that, maybe you can take a screenshot and get back to it. We will move along with the conflict species of the month, and like we already mentioned, it is the famous Coatimundis, right? The coatis, as we have mentioned, right? Yes, here in Belize, we actually do refer to them as a common name as squash, and you might see them around, right? Um, so a little bit about their natural history, the biology of these coatis. Um, I think we have a answer there, but let's start with the first um, slide here and see who won the correct um, answer for that one. Right? So coatis, like I mentioned, they adapt easily to new environment. So you will see them closer or at the outskirts of forests or those areas like that, right? So they can adapt easily and they will be around if you have very bushy areas. They might come around. They will be foraging for food, right? Um, they are what we call motile, meaning they will be usually moving. They will not stay one spot. They will be finding food, foraging for food, and they will be on the move. Males are usually solitary, while females and young males form what we call bands. Basically, the males, well, when it's mating time, which occurs from around February to March, the best suitable male within that region where that band is will be chosen for mating, and then basically they will kick out the male from the band to have their offspring. They usually will have four offspring, and the sexual maturity um, age is almost 2 years, or you can say 2 years for both females and males. These coatis may live up to 14 years and are found throughout Belize in most of the regions, right? And like I mentioned, here they are called quash. They are omnivores by nature. They feed mainly on insects such as beetles, spiders, scorpions, ants, termites, etc. But they also like fruits a lot, and very rarely they will be eating sometimes small vertebrates such as mice, lizards, or frogs. Their ecological role would be population control for these insects or small uh, vertebrates, and they do participate in seed dispersal as well. However, like Dr. Isabel was already mentioning, there are many of these public health risks that you may have with the interaction of these coatis, right? So rabies, roundworms, mange, like Dr. Isabel already mentioned, are some of the diseases that you can acquire from these creatures, which makes it a bad idea to have them as pets, right? But more on that later. Feeding coatis make them what you call habituated. Um, Feeding them will make them the prime source of food, and they will always come back to you for food if um, you do feed them, right? Sometimes after a good while, they will become aggressive if they come around and you don't give them any food. It is possible that they become aggressive and may cause then conflict, right? So having trash cans and dirty yards will also attract them, and it will increase the likelihood of you having conflict with these animals. So keeping covered trash cans and clean yard is always a good idea, if especially if you live in the outskirts of town where you might have some bushy area around your yard. Crop damage also occurs, and it may be one of the most common conflict situations with coatis um, around the region as well. Avoiding coatic conflict, like I said, do not feed them whatsoever. It's not a good idea, regardless, to feed them, to feed wild animals, to avoid habituating them, right? Secure your garden crops with fences, netting, and other exclusion methods or barriers. Calmly and deliberately, encourage coatis to move out, right? Be it lights, be it sounds around your area. that would encourage coatis to move out. Securing your trash cans is also a very good idea. Cleaning your yard, leaving your dog food secure and away, right? Not leaving them outside where they can come. Dog food is attractive to them, so they will be around if you do leave dog foods and food scraps outside. Properly secure the housing for chickens. In rare cases, it would be probably chicks, but you can always have secure cages and coops for your chicken to avoid any such thing in the first place, right? Prevention is better. Always keep your roof, any holes in your house, around your house, your walls, just keep them covered, and that would exclude them from entering. So all in all, with the consideration of the health risks and the conflict that they may cause, do they make good pets? And then the answer would most definitely be no. They can, one, give you diseases, two, well, it is not legal to keep them as pets, and three, well, they like to live in the wild. That is where they belong. That is their house. That is where they have more chances of surviving and flourishing there in the wild instead of in a cage or tied up in your yard, right? So do they make good pets? Definitely that would be a no. So this is a short presentation on the conflict species of the month, that is Coatimundi, and every month we will be doing a different species.
All right, so back to the quiz questions. We have the correct answer from first Michelle Mayberdy. And as she commented, the correct answers are in this order. Number 1 is false, number 2 is true, number 3 is true, number 4 is false, and number 5 is A.
Yeah.
Right. So, Michelle, you won yourself this first prize for this first quiz question. And now we will be going right into a second quiz question, which is...
All right, so this one is actually based on the same coati conflict presentation that we just gave, right? And it says, is feeding coatis a good idea? Why or why not, right? Choose all that apply. And the first option says, A, it is a good idea. It is not a good idea. B, it is a good idea. C, they will become habituated. D, they will become domesticated. E, they may become aggressive. And F, they will have no change or effect. Right? So which one would be the correct answers for this second question based on coati conflict? Right? So choose all that apply for this question.
And we will leave the question up a few more seconds before going into the second zoonosis for this live presentation, which is Toxocariasis and roundworms.
All right, take a screenshot, write down your answers before it goes, and then we jump right into the roundworms presentation.
And hello again with yet another important zoonosis that we have indeed diagnosed at in coatis at the BWRC, named Toxocariasis, is one of many names, following the lead of why protecting animal health will ultimately protect our own health. So this is a roundworm zoonosis, and as in past zoonosis, we will first introduce what is it, how common is it, what does it look like in animals, what does the disease look like in humans, how do we get it, and more importantly, how do we know we have it and how do we avoid getting this? So to start out with some general remarks and the connection of this disease to the One Health concept. It is extremely common in domestic and wildlife species to be infected with intestinal worms. This could be leading to simple irritation and ranges all the way to life-threatening disease. And many of these parasites can be transmitted to you or your children as so-called zoonotic diseases. What you have to keep in mind that it is very hard to observe these parasites since they live inside their host and you generally don't see them from the outside, but their eggs pass to the outside in the feces and they're microscopic. The One Health concept again connects the health of our animals to our health, since we can be affected by these common parasites from animals. And these examples, or this example, accumulates very much in the environment and survives there for a very long time, tying in the third tier of the One Health concept there, the environmental health. So what is it? The causing agent, one of them, or the main one we're talking about here, is called Toxocariasis. It is in the class of Nematoda, which are roundworms, and the family of Ascaridae. So there are many different species that can cause this disease in different animals and also affect humans. That's what the adult worms look like. And then how common it is, estimated to be up to 100% of the global dog population. And it is also extremely common in the wildlife samples that we have analyzed. There have been studies done on the presence of this parasite in public parks with microscopy again, and this has been found worldwide. In humans, however, the prevalence of this disease is not very high. It is also underdiagnosed because it is not as easy to find and has to be suspected basically to be found, in a nutshell. In animals, this disease can be asymptomatic again, like so many of these diseases that we talk about here. So we may see no signs, but it can, of course, also lead to digestive signs, aka diarrhea, bloat, lack of appetite, weight loss. And in extreme cases, it can also lead to sudden death in animals. And again, as so often, young animals are affected more, but adults are also affected. In the life cycle, we could talk a whole presentation about. Important things in the life cycle is that these eggs that are shed into the environment require a time to become infectious so that they can then infect the next host, yet they can survive up to 7 years in the environment and still be infectious, which makes that the environment plays such a crucial role in the transmission of this disease to humans as well as other hosts. So how do we get it? I already mentioned it. We get it mostly from soil contamination in public parks, beaches, and or sandboxes. That's why especially children are exposed, because they may have the habit of sticking things in their mouths, and some animals tend to defecate into sandboxes. In humans, the disease is not as simple and straightforward as it is in animals. It is roughly described as larva migrants. It's migrating larvae that can be found in different locations. A couple locations give them special names like visceral larva migrants or ocular larva migrants, being in the eye. The signs caused in humans depend obviously where these larvae are located, but can include liver and lung damage in the early stages, as well as blindness and or seizures and more. So how do we know? In animals, it is, in quotation, easy with a microscopic examination of fecals. The eggs are reasonably easy to detect. In the environment, it is not as easy to detect because, again, they're microscopic and the environment is rather big. And in humans, it requires serologic tests mostly, as well as in some cases an eye exam. But again, this needs to be suspected first before it can be diagnosed. How do we prevent it? The most crucial thing to prevent this disease is deworming your pets and personal hygiene and avoiding inappropriate contact with potentially infected animals. And immunocompromised animals and young animals are always a high risk. Stray animals play an important role in spreading this and eliminating access to sandboxes, for example, or public parks so that animals won't defecate and cause that risk for cross-contamination. And of course, washing hands, as for so many of our diseases, is key. So thank you again for your attention. We hope this was of help. Please do contact us with questions or in the chat right now if you're with us live, and feel free to suggest further topics as well.
All right. So now that we have completed the presentation on toxocariasis, we will be moving into the answers for question number 2. And this was answered correctly first by Julie Ruiz. And the answers for this question is feeding coatis a good idea? Why or why not? The answer is A, it is not a good idea. C, because they will become habituated and they may even become aggressive. So thank you for answering that question. And since Julie was the first one to answer correctly, she has won the prize for that second question.
Right, so inbox us to see what your little prize is and how you can get it.
Right. So moving on with the presentations, we will go into the illegal wildlife trafficking for Coatimundis. All right. So the the wildlife law concerning white-nosed coatis, Nasua narica, the species of Coatimundis that we have here in Belize. For some background of Coatimundis that we have received here at the BWRC, slightly over half of the Coatimundis that we have received here were either kept as pets or that were confiscated by the forest department or were relinquished, given up voluntarily by people that had them either grown or as orphans. And the orphans that did come in had their mothers killed, and they were kept as pets. And those orphans that came into the clinic were raised and released with other recovered patients that were injured either through traffic accidents, the dog attacks, or by fires. Now, in Belize, the Wildlife Protection Act, as the name of the act suggests, it protects all wildlife found here in Belize. This is local wildlife, right? And Coatimundis are a part of the local wildlife that we have here in Belize. And they are fully protected under the WPA. So that means that they cannot be hunted at any time during the year, and they cannot be kept as pets at all. Now, internationally, the IUCN Red List lists white-nosed Coatimundis as least concern because of their wide distribution range. They have a range from uh, the southern, from Mexico all through Central America, and in South America, Ecuador, Bolivia, and Colombia. And even though they have a wide distribution range, their population is in decline because of habitat loss and fragmentation, and in some countries because of overhunting. On the CITES, which is the Convention for International Trade on Endangered Species, they are listed under Appendix 3, and this is in all the Central American countries, including Ecuador, Bolivia, and Colombia. Their trade is controlled, and that includes trade in Belize, between borders, right? And for if ever there needs to be trade between the Coatimundis, what would be needed for that import or export would be an export permit or a certificate of origin and a re-export certificate. Now, obviously the coatis are cute, right? But they could be cute out living in the wild, not in our houses, because like Giann had mentioned, they can bring us, introduce diseases to our family and even our domesticated pets that we have, our dogs or cats. And they are wild animals, right? So they should be living out in the wild. And in order for them to have a healthy lifestyle, they need a special diet and special stimulation in their natural environment. And why should they not be hunted? Well, for one, they are fully protected by the Wildlife Protection Act, and they have an ecological importance, which in turn helps us, right? For example, they are prey for large predators that we have here in Belize, for example, the jaguars, the pumas, and even sometimes the other small cats. And they also contribute in pest control, as we have mentioned earlier, the insect, and even they can even help us with pests in crop management. And yeah, so that's it. So that is why we shouldn't be keeping wild animals as pets, because of the disease that they can bring to us and their importance in the environment. So now we can move into the third quiz question, which is based on the illegal wildlife trafficking of Coatimundis.
All right, so these are the options for this question. It says, should we keep Coatimundis as pets and why? Right, so they are protected by the law. B, any wild animal can be a pet, yes, a pet. C, we cannot keep them as pets. D, they pose no threat to our health. E, they can introduce disease to us and other pets. And F, orphans miss their moms. So select all that applies there for this question, question 3. So let us know. Remember, it's multiple question answers, right? So you need to be able to select all of them. The first one to give us the correct answer with all of the options will then win this prize. All right, so keep those answers coming while
we go over again how to find the pre-registration form and what can happen when you do pre-register for the courses
Workshops.
workshop.
All right, so take a screenshot. Well, it was there. Take a screenshot and write down your answers while you type them out. We're just gonna go over and show you how to find the pre-registration link. Remember, you can win and be part of the grand raffle that we will be having if you
Participate.
pre-register, participate in the program, right?
So first of all, the pinned comment has the link for the pre-registration form. And if you do not have the time right now, you can also find it on our website. And this is the link, but we can go to how to find it. First, go to our website, belizewildlifeclinic.org. That will take you to our homepage. And then under the tab Outreach and Resources, we'll find Wildlife Ambassador Program. And the first link click button available on that page is where you will click in order for you to go into the pre-registration form. So filling out this pre-registration form will get you into a raffle for a $25 voucher at Holy's Place here in San Ignacio. And participating in the program itself, taking some workshops, attending some workshops, either in person or online, will get you into a raffle for a 2-night stay for two with meals included and a tour at Ian Anderson's Cave Branch Jungle Resort.
All right, so I think we do have the correct answer, and let me just quickly show it. So should we keep quatties as pets? Well, definitely not. So the first answer there is A, C, E, and F. Right? So again, Michelle is right on time with her response with A, C, E, and F. Right? So you will be receiving your little prizes. Just let us know how we can get it to you or how you can get it from us. All right. So thank you all for participating and sending your comments there. My dad almost got that quiz question there, so I was running competition with Michelle. Thank you, Dad, for tuning in and listening. And yeah, thank you everyone as well for being a part of this and viewing and learning together with us. And I think we have already announced most of the important things that are happening, and we hope that you can join us, pre-register, be a part of the raffle. Through these donations from the Kiev branch, we are able to offer you these prizes in order to participate in our workshops. All right.
And if you are able to, remember to send us an email at bzwildlifeclinic@gmail.com if you want to sign up for the cleanup campaign that will be happening on Friday along with the Forest Department and the BDF. So with that,
I think that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed and
learned some stuff.
That is right. And do make sure to tune in next month, which we will be announcing the exact date in the coming weeks. All right. So see you guys.